the biggest benefit is for you to create your own custom analysis techniques and strategies. You also have an added benefit, which is you can edit and modify what's built into TradeStation. I think we talked about this as the biggest benefit, but the biggest benefit is creating your own personal analysis techniques and strategies. The second biggest benefit is to edit what comes built into TradeStation. So you open up Bollinger Band, you want to make certain modifications. How cool it is for you to go in there, make the modifications and make it work for you. You can also read and understand and learn from what others have written. You know, when I said at the very beginning of the presentation that chart trading is something that is written in EasyLanguage, you know, how cool it is that you can open it up and see all the 25,000 lines of code that make up, you know, chart trading, and somehow use it for your benefit. Maybe it's a little bit too advanced, but you can take something simple, open it up, see how it's written, maybe take some ideas here and there, copy them, paste them into your own, you know, EasyLanguage document and make it your own. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And you can also understand how analysis techniques and strategies are calculated. This is an added benefit. You know, sometimes we take it for granted the way that TradeStation calculates, but having an understanding of EasyLanguage just give you an edge, especially when it comes to strategy trading and the way that alerts are generated. We understand fully the mechanism behind the TradeStation platform to generate these alerts, to place these trades. It just gives you that little more understanding of those technicalities. So let's go ahead and talk about the data that is used in EasyLanguage. Open, high, low, close bar, which is the one on the left, or a candlestick. Whatever is loaded onto the chart, that's exactly what the study will use, starting on the very first bar and going forward, bar by bar, calculating your formulas, your rules, one at a time. Once it goes to the very front of the chart, or the bar that is currently building in real time, then your study and your strategy will update tick by tick. So let's go ahead and start managing our tools and how we can create our first indicator. In this class, we're going to create a simple indicator, then we're going to create a simple show me, and then we're going to create a simple strategy. And I think we have some time to create an indicator on radar screen so you can see all the different variations. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this indicator is going to do. This indicator plots a line representing the real body of each candle. So let's go ahead and put that into an indicator. We're going to keep it simple. Let's pull up a chart first. So let's go ahead and open up the development environment. That's the first step in your programming class. EasyLanguage is just an application right here in apps. We open it up, and this launches what's called the EasyLanguage development environment. First of all, on the file menu, and you click on new, you have this drop down of different types of EasyLanguage documents. What is it that I'm trying to create? Is it an indicator? Is it a show me? Is it a paint bar? Or is it a strategy? For this example that we're going to work on at this moment, we're going to do an indicator. All right, so my indicator, I'm going to call it, when we name our indicators, we give it a special character at the very beginning so that it's sorted to the very top. And everything else, I'm just going to leave it because I want to keep the presentation simple. This is just an introduction class. One of the things that I did is when it says select template, which is not set to none by default, I go in there and set it to none. None just means give me a blank document. Do not start with any additional information. I don't need it. I'm just going to go straight into the code, and that's why I selected none. I'm going to click OK. Going back to what we talked about, real body and negative values and positive values, we know that the formula we want to use is close minus the open. And I'm just going to type that in here because usually when I write EasyLanguage, that's the way that I start. I just jot down, the formula, and then I clean it up a little bit. I may add some inputs. I may add some variables. We're going to talk about those in a very simple way right here in this class. So that's my formula, close minus the open. I want you guys to notice that some of the words here come up in blue. Whenever something comes up in blue in EasyLanguage, that is a reserved word. It has a specific meaning. So if we use the word close inside of the EasyLanguage, it just references the closing price of the bar. But I'm going to store this mathematical formula I'm going to store it in what we call a variable. All right. We can use variables or choose not to. I mean, it's optional. Variables in a programming language just makes your code a little bit more efficient. And it's easier for you to keep track of mathematical formulas without having to type them up over and over again. But for this presentation, let's avoid using variables and we'll just keep it simple. I am going to use a statement that is used in EasyLanguage a lot, which is a plot statement. A plot statement is what tells EasyLanguage to draw something on the chart, whether it is a line, a show me, you have to use the word plot. So I'm going to use plot and I'm going to number it with a 1. Notice how the word comes up in blue. We number them because you can have an indicator that has multiple plots. A clear example is the Bollinger Bands. It has 3 lines. So it uses 3 different plots, plot 1, plot 2, and plot 3. The indicator that we're creating today is just a simple mathematical formula, close minus the open. So I'm just going to use plot 1 to plot that result. But we do need something else here. We need to put whatever value we are trying to plot, we need to put it inside parentheses. So let me go ahead and do that right here. And this is it, I don't think I need anything else here to plot what I'm looking for. So I'm going to add a semicolon at the very end so that, that is the end of the statement. There's a few elements that I want to talk to you about. First of all, EasyLanguage is not case sensitive. You also can add line returns, line spacing, paragraph indents. They're also ignored when EasyLanguage runs. These are all used for readability. They do not affect the instructions. EasyLanguage requires the proper use of punctuation, and the very punctuation mark that I teach in my class is the semicolon, because the semicolon tells EasyLanguage, hey, I've reached the end of this idea. I'm going to go on to something else. Now that we're done with our EasyLanguage code, our extensive program here, let's go ahead and verify it. Verification is the process by which EasyLanguage tells you if it finds something odd. It's started by clicking on this green check mark right here at the top. I'm going to click it, and you can see that, well, by default, there's like a pop-up window that shows up, and it just says that you just verified something. If it's being used somewhere else, it'll automatically recalculate. I've asked, my development environment to avoid showing me that message. There's a little check mark there that allows you to do that. But I can see right here at the bottom that my code has 0 errors and 0 warnings. And also I can see the 2 indications right here at the bottom as well that says that my code is saved and it's verified. So it did make sense to EasyLanguage. So let me go back here to my trade station and I'm all set. All I need to do is add that study and see what it looks like. There I see 3 exclamation marks real body, and I click OK. And here we go. That's how my code looks. That's how the plot gets started. But I can always double click on that line. Another thing that I would do here on this indicator is probably I would draw a 0 line. You see, sometimes the indicator or the line goes positive and negative based on the mathematical formula we provided, but I need a reference line so that I can know when the value is negative and positive. It just enhances the visual. In order for you to add a horizontal line to any study, all you need to know is the value at which this line is going to be plotted on. Well, if you want a 0 line, we know that 0 is the value that it's going to be anchored to. So I'm going to go back here to the code, and all I need to do is add another plot. I already have the line that plots the real body. I need plot number 2, and inside parentheses, I'm just going to type in the number 0. That's my horizontal line right there. Every bar, it'll plot at 0, and it'll look like a horizontal line. So let me verify one more time. There we go. Now it has a line. Now let's go back here to my PowerPoint slide, because we're going to go to the next exercise, which is using EasyLanguage functions. Functions in EasyLanguage, they bring in additional mathematical formulas that are pre-built and pre-calculated for you. You don't have to pretty much bring in those mathematical formulas into the code. You can just reference the function, and the function will perform that mathematical or analytical task For our example, we're going to modify the real body indicator to plot a line representing the average of the real body over a user specified number of bars. So yes, if we look at our chart and we look at the real body line that we have at the bottom, is very static here. What if we were to smooth that line with an average? If the positive bars or the up bars are more than the red bars, I would think that the line of this indicator will maintain itself above 0. So if there's a bias to the upside, then my line should be more on the positive side. So that may be, giving us a little bit more analytical value to the study. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me go here to the EasyLanguage code, and I have to introduce average. Let me show you where the functions are. Right here on the right-hand side, you see a little box that says dictionary. And I'm going to open up the category here that's called the EasyLanguage. You have other items that are part of the dictionary that are more object-oriented. So let me go ahead and click on the plus right here on this EasyLanguage category. So it opens up EasyLanguage. And if I scroll to the very bottom, I'm going to see a subcategory labeled user functions. When I click there, I see all the different functions that are part of the TradeStation platform, including the one that I want, average. So what I do is I select average and I look at the way that the average function is utilized. It gives you an example right here in this description box. It gives you an example on how the average function is used. I know that from this description that it needs 2 parameters. It needs the price, or the value that is being averaged, and the length. How many periods do you want that average for? And if you look at the example, it does that exactly. It just states the word average, and inside parentheses, you have the value that's being averaged and for how many bars. So what I'm going to do here on this line of code, I can either create a new one or I can just modify it. I can add a plot number 3, plot 3, and I can say average. Notice that the function comes up in magenta. So the way that you confirm that you've typed things correctly is making sure that the color comes on. So the average of the close minus the open, that's the expression that I want to average for a period. Let's do a period of 20 bars. I'm going to hard code it. And then end that statement with a semicolon. Now the order in which I have the statements here, or the plot statements, maybe I would do it differently, but I want to show you how simple it is for you to add simple lines of code. I'm just going to verify this. And of course, I'm getting an error. You look over here at the bottom, it says, oh, comma or parentheses expected here. So the error is generated on line 4, and the code kind of highlights the area where the error was generated, where the verification process got stuck. And the problem here, as you can see on plot 3, is that I have the opening parentheses for the plot statement. I have the opening parentheses for the function, but I only have one closing parenthesis, so I don't have matching parentheses. So I'm missing an extra parentheses. Let's verify that again. And there we go. Now we have 0 warnings or 0 errors. Let me go to TradeStation, and this is what it looks like. All right, so if you look at it, now we're averaging those values. We don't see those spikes anymore. If you're wanting to look at the average, maybe the raw calculation is not even needed. Maybe in other types of analysis, but let me go ahead and remove that. I can remove that very quickly by just adding a double / at the very front of the line. That'll comment the whole line out. Notice that it turns green because green is just notes that EasyLanguage just ignores. So by doing that and clicking on verify one more time, now I just have the 0 line and I have this yellow line that it's the average of the real body. We probably can create an alert on this study. Let me show you creating alerts. What we're going to do is we're going to modify our indicator so that it generates an alert every time the average crosses the 0 line. So if we look at the line here, yeah, it oscillates between positive and negative. but we want to be alerted when it crosses 0. How do we do that? Very easily, I can just come here to the code and type in my conditions. If. Now, this is where a variable would be great because I can just reference the variable, but now I have to type in this whole thing right here, which is the function. If the average of the close minus the open for the last 20 bars crosses over 0, then alert. And I'll do the other one. If average crosses under 0, then alert. The nice thing about EasyLanguage alerts is that all you need is to type in the word alert and EasyLanguage will know what to do. So you put the alert word inside of a conditional statement. If this happens, then generate the alert. And what I'm looking for is the crossover or cross under to generate that alert. If we had used a variable, like for example, I'm just going to use the word variable here and show you exactly what I mean by that. And I call my variable real body. Now I just have to assign the formula to real body. So real body, well, in this particular case, real body AVG, because it's an average. I just want to be as descriptive as possible. Is this right here? That's what real body average is. So now instead of using the whole formula, I can just use the word. And right here, I can just use the word. Instead of retyping the whole formula by putting the formula inside of a variable, I can just reference that variable throughout my code. Let me verify this, and that's it, creating a show me. So a show me is a type of analysis technique in TradeStation that marks the bar anytime a condition is met. And this is very useful when you're monitoring historical alerts because it puts a marking where the alert would have been generated. We're going to do that with some of the code that we created here. Let me go ahead and copy this code, but this time I'm going to click on File, New, and I'm going to create a show me. A show me because I want to mark the candles where the real body average crosses 0. I'm going to go show me. This will be exclamation, 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 real body cross. And I paste the code in here. We were going to have to do some modification because the plot statements are going to change. So let me go ahead and comment those 3 out. So because instead of alerting when the real body crosses over 0, what I want to do here is plot 1, and I'm going to put the plot on the close. And if the other happens, I'm not going to alert. I'm going to plot 2, and I'm going to plot on the close 2. You see what I'm doing? So the plotting is conditional. It only happens if the condition is true. Let's verify this and see if that works. Okay, it does verify. And I'm going to come over here to my TradeStation. I'm going to go to Studies, Add Study, Show Me, and it's going to be at the very top, my exclamation, 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 real body. All right, so there we go. So every time there's a cross, I get a blue dot. It doesn't change the code. Remember that we copied and pasted the code. What we changed is the style of the indicator, and we also made it a conditional plot. It only shows you the dot if the condition is true. But notice how the dots here align with the crossover of the indicator to create a strategy. What if we had taken a trade every time that the real body indicator crosses the 0 line? So what we're going to do is we're going to generate a short entry when the real body oscillator crosses under the 0 line, and the strategy is always in the market. So long entries will exit short positions and short entries will exit long positions. So what we're saying is we're going to keep the strategy simple. We're going to buy if the real body crosses to the positive side, and we're going to keep that long trade until the real body crosses to the negative side. And when it crosses to the negative side, we're going to close out our long trade and we're going to go short. So we're always in the market. It's going to flip us back and forth between longs and shorts. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Let me go back here to my development environment. And again, I may want to use the same code. So let me go over here. What I'm changing here is the type of EasyLanguage that I'm using. I'm going to go to File, New, and then clicking on Strategy, because now I want the EasyLanguage to generate orders when the condition is true. I'm going to call this exclamation, 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 real body cross, long entry and short entry. So they're both in there. I put my code in there, the same calculation. If real body crosses over 0, then I'm not plotting. In fact, the plot statement cannot be used in a strategy. But I am going to give myself a little bit more room here because I want to do some indentation on this particular one because it just makes sense in my head. Remember that line returns, indentations, and spacing, not necessary in EasyLanguage, but I'm just doing it for readability. So if it crosses over, I'm going to buy next bar at market. This is the way that syntax in EasyLanguage works for a strategy. And if it goes under 0, then I'm going to sell short next bar at market. Let's verify this. And notice how it verifies. I just did a small tweak on the condition. The conditions stay the same. What changes is what happens if the condition is true. On the show me, it's going to plot the little dot, but here it's going to buy or sell short. Let's verify this. Well, I did verify it already. All I need to do is come here to the TradeStation chart, go to Studies, click on Add Strategy, and let's go ahead and add right here at the top, the real body cross LE and SE. Click OK. And notice how my long entries are aligning with the cyan dot, and the short entry is aligning with the magenta dot, which is the negative when it turns to the negative side. But by creating a strategy, I'm able to create a signal every time that there's a crossover that line. Isn't that interesting? And the nice thing about doing a strategy is that I can pull up reports such as the strategy performance report right here in the data tab to tell you if what you thought about it's a bad idea or not. And you can tell that on this particular security, AMAT, it was a really bad idea. But as we change symbols here, we may get different results. This is what the strategy is designed to do. The strategy is designed to find the instance where the condition is true, and it's just designed to follow that trade. But how cool it is that we took a simple idea from concept to indicator to show me to a strategy. Let's go to the next exercise here. I think we're reaching the end of our presentation, but I wanted to end it with a radar screen study, because ideally what you want to do is probably monitor symbols to find out which one is crossing right now, because maybe those crosses could turn into possible trading opportunities. So how do we do that here on my TradeStation platform? Well, the indicator is already created. I probably just need to open up my radar screen. So let me go Apps, Radar Screen. Let me go ahead and add a list of symbols. I'm going to add the NASDAQ 100. I just have to go here to add the real body study that I created, or indicator. Real body. Although the real body, yeah, that one has alert. So real body, this one right here. I'm going to move it down. So let's see, my real body has this column with zeros. That's because we plotted a 0 line. But we can right click, go to Studies, Show Hide Plots, and I'm going to hide plot number 2 so that I only see the real body average. Let me go ahead and resize this because I also want to bring in a chart. Let me copy this one that I have on this other workspace. Copy window. I want to paste it in here. Paste window. And this one, I'm going to resize so it's on the right-hand side of my chart. Let me link them together so that when I click on a symbol here, the chart updates to that symbol. So let's go ahead and take a look. I want to see the ones that are crossing right now. So let me go ahead and right click here, go to Studies. I'm going to edit the column, and I'm going to go to the alerts and enable alert continuously, but disabling the message center. We talk about that in our radar screen classes. I'm just going to click OK. And this is giving us real-time monitoring. I don't see anything crossing at the moment. And I believe this is because we need some additional data for the calculation. Let's go ahead and see. Let me right click here, go to studies. I'm going to edit the study. This is something important to do for radar screen studies. On the general tab, we have to load additional data for the calculation. Let me load 100 bars more. The reason why I'm doing that is because radar screen tries to keep the historical data as small as possible just to make the calculation more efficient. But sometimes by keeping it so limited, it doesn't have enough historical data to match the values we have here on the chart. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just forcing the radar screen to load at least 100 additional bars. I'm gonna click OK, and here we have one. Now, it is currently crossing on a 5-minute chart. So if I change the time frame to 5 minutes, there we go. We get the alert. This other symbol is crossing right now. Checkpoint software. I click it, and there we go. We have the alert. Now this, of course, the alert is going to trigger on the next tick. That's why this hasn't traded. Let me go to the next one. CPRT is crossing to the bottom side. So yeah, you can see how the value is 0. So that's why it needs to cross lower in order for it to trigger the alert. Now, of course, the alerts are going to be triggered based on the interval, but this is a very nice way for you to know which one of these symbols are triggering the alert in real time. In fact, I can come here to the top on the filter and say, filter by using the real body alert true. So out of the 100, we can see that there's 8 symbols that are crossing right now based on that idea. Again, the concept here was just to show you how simple it is to take one idea, turn it into an indicator, then a show me, then a strategy, and then into a scanning tool that you can put into radar screen.